just shout it out. You know, I'm here to answer all the questions. I'm going to show you guys photos. Let's be real. That's why you guys are here. We want to see some epic photos, some videos, and I'm going to explain kind of our whole trip from traveling there to. I'm going to focus the talk a bit on the Perestroika Crack, which is the main reason we kind of went there. One of the main climbs we did, and yeah, I hope after this presentation you guys don't necessarily think of dreaming of these things, and it'll be very cool. How do I word this? Marianne gave a talk at Friends and Allies maybe 2 years ago, and she says, just go and do it. It is all well within your capability. Then after I left that talk to go watch the Springbok rugby, but that's besides the point. It kind of stuck with me, and when this thing came up, I'm like, well, this is what I want to do, so let me just go and do it. And these things are very much in the grasp of a lot of us. You know, if you can climb 6A, 6B trad, there's a lot of big things that you can do. Just because we're aiding through it doesn't mean anything. And I'm going to tell you guys straight up now, we did not free the Perestroika Crack. We tried really, really hard. But hey, it is. We just ate it through the hard sections. So within our grasp, guys. Yes. Okay, like I said, we here to see some photos. So I mean, wow, sure. This, in my mind, is probably the best looking mountain in the valley, in the Aksu Valley. That peak is called Odessa. It was kind of on my tick list to do, but this was out of our grasp. This is hard aid climbing up that mountain. In the back there, to give you guys some perspective, is a 6,500 meter peak called Peak 4912 or something weird. All right, Kyrgyzstan. Yay, Kyrgyzstan, not Kazakhstan, as everyone has only ever said Kazakhstan. They've never ever said Kyrgyzstan. Central Asia, guys, it borders Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Yeah, we think we're pronouncing these right. Looking at the country, so we flew to Bishkek. Bishkek's the capital, and then, Osh is not the capital, just another small town. So we flew from Bishkek to Osh, and then we caught a taxi, a combi, all to the Kyrgyzstan Valley. So, oh yeah, of course, why do people want to go all the way halfway around the world to climb these mountains? And I think more than most people, we understand why. And quite simply, I mean, if you look at a photo like that, I mean, I'm sure that inspires you to go there and to climb that peak. This is in the Aksu Valley, where we spend most of our time. That is the famous Russian tower. I'll talk a bit more about them later, but these are just cool photos to give you a good reason why we want to go there. This is one valley over in the Karasu Valley. This is the valley where Tommy Caldwell and them got kidnapped, if you remember. Yeah, so I made it a big point that we had to go climb in that valley for sure. You know, why not? Of course we want to go climb the thing Oaks got kidnapped on. Just some more pretty photos. So this is in the the Aksu Valley. I get them confused. I try to remember the Aktu spit on it. This crowd might be a bit old for that reference. So this is in the Karasu Valley, and that's on the right there's the backside of Odessa, that peak which had the photo at the beginning. Other reasons, guys, let's be real. We want to go climb with our friends. We want to go spend big days on mountains. We want to go sleep on mountains. Time for good conversation. This is on the halfway ledge of Perestroika. They call this, in the guidebook, a plush bivvy for 6. I can tell you, this night we slept 5 people there, and with an extra person, we would all be sitting upright and sleeping. And then, let's be real, we went there to get scared. We want to go have some sketchy belays, or sketchy rappels. This is also in Perestroika. That block with all the tat on it, it's loose. It moved a lot. Just because there's a lot of tat does not mean that it's attached. But there is a nice 6mm bolt attached with one little piece of cord. We'll see this little block a little bit later. All right, guys, so I mean, a team of us went. There were 7 of us in total. This man, Greg, right over here, he was kind of the brainchild. He's the one that said, cool, I want to go climb here. And he started kind of putting out feelers and inviting people. So yeah, so the main man, Greg. I mean, and these photos, as you see these characters pop up on the screen, if you don't know them, judge them by the photo. I think they're all pretty good representations of everyone. Next up, we have Aiden, a local to Cape Town. He also runs a company called Wild Within. They make those amazing running pants. Probably one of the less experienced guys on the trip. And he also joined us a week later, which in preparation helps out a lot because everything you forgot and that you can't get, you can just, radio message Aiden, we need more cheese, dude. We need more salami. We're gonna run out. And he called from Cape Town as well. He also spent a bunch of time up here in Joburg, one of the younger guys on the team. Richard Hersley. Yeah, if you guys have ever read a guidebook of any big bolted route, you'll probably see this guy's name. He's bolted over 700 routes, I think just in the Western Cape. And yeah, a lot of those are big, hard, multi-pitch routes. So probably, Benny, I actually completely forgot, dude, sorry. Spotlights on. Yeah, Richard, very cool guy, very experienced. Cameron from the United States, so our team was looking a little thin, and we put out some extra feelers. And Cam and Andy had climbed a bunch in Yosemite. Very cool guy, maybe one of our main sponsors. So he lives about 2 hours from Yosemite and has done El Cap in 24 hours and is like a very experienced climber. And he just has all the gear, from water filters to R7, inflatable, porter ledges. I mean, he was kind of our main sponsor. I think we really would have struggled without him. And then the youngest on our team, Felix from Austria. He'd spent a bunch of time in South Africa and met up with Andy and Aiden. And yeah, really cool guy, really, really big gear nerd. Like, he can just spit out facts and breaking points. And yeah, big gear nerd. And he made a lot of bread. I think we brought up like 40 kilograms of flour into the valley, all because of him. He's like, guys, I'm going to make bread every day, and pancakes from us. And then, yeah, there's myself. That's Wes. So living in the valley's hard, guys. That bucket in my hand was my bowl, my plate. It wasn't my cup, but I did get it from the grocery store for like 2 rand, and I've still got it, and it's still going very strong. All right, so there's a team. Like I said, judge everyone how they look. I mean, this is classic Greg. He's just always got that face on. It's quite funny. All right, getting to Central Asia. It's pretty far. So the guy in the middle there with a thumb up, his name's Alex. So we went through a tour company called Aksai Travels. And he was the main guy we spoke to and dealt with. We actually didn't know if Alex existed. And we came to the conclusion that Alex is like a collective name for a person you chat to over WhatsApp, because sometimes you got good English replied, sometimes it was really bad English, sometimes they had no idea what you were talking about, so we were like, fuck, I don't know if Alex is real. But he's real, so that's why this photo's here. He's very much a real dude. We never asked, dude. We were just psyched to see Alex. But there were 2 other people that worked with him that didn't really talk much to us. Exactly, yeah. And then then we just handed over a whole bunch of $100 bills to him. But yeah, yeah, we never actually clarified why. All right, guys, Kyrgyzstan is super far away. It's in Central Asia. So just to give you guys a brief travel plan, we flew to Dubai. Not so far, it's like 8 hours. We spent 18 hours in Dubai airport. If you're South African, just to let you guys know, they won't let you out the airport to go to the climbing gym. You can buy a visa, and then you got to pay for a hotel room, but there's no guarantee you'll get the visa. Yeah. So we sat in the airport for 18 hours. There's about a 4-hour flight to Osh, which we spent another 6 hours in that airport. And this is where we met up with Andy from Cape Town, taking a good kip on the floor. If you're doing these big travel trips, guys, just take your inflatable mattress with you. It makes a big difference. And then from there, it's about an hour flight to Osh, which is super cool. So we land in Osh with pretty much one objective, to find Alex and to get food for the next month. This is the last kind of like major town we were in, and super interesting shopping in a place where everything's in Russian. So you got to bring out your Google Translate, and it worked well, but it's quite a swing and a miss. Like, not everything is actually what they say it is. And we sampled a bunch of things. Their salami selection, although here looks really good, taste and quality-wise is not. And luckily we sampled a bunch of those things. We also got a bunch of canned food, fishes, and those kind of things that we were lucky there was a stray cat around that night when we sampled them. There was some gnarly stuff we tasted. How did that? The cat taste. No, that cat was cute, dude. I didn't even, so we bought this can of chicken, because I don't know if you guys have ever had canned chicken. You can get some really nice canned chickens around, you know. I know it sounds funny compared to canned tuna. It's like kind of the same thing, but chicken. So I was like, yo, let's get some canned chicken. It's going to be perfect. And it was like, if you take the leftover carcass of a chicken, then grind it up, and then you put it in the can. So we opened this thing, and I was like, I'm not even going to taste that, dude. That looks terrible. And then they were like, let's give it to the cat. I'm like, that poor cat, dude, don't give it to the cat. But the cat was happy. Watermelons, guys, arbush is what they call them in Kyrgyzstan. They love watermelon there. It is like crazy. Everywhere you go is watermelon, arbush. Just to give you some like context, the currency is som. So here on special at 10 som, for the South African rand, we divide that by 5. So we got a nice 2 rand arbush over here. I don't know if you guys, I went to Impala the other day and it was 100 rand for a watermelon. Yeah, why is the watermelon so expensive? All right, guys, so we buy food for we're there for 23 days in the valley, so we buy food for basically 23 days. From there, we get in a combi. It's about a 7-hour ride to a little town called Aktakta. And it's almost like a little tea house. And we have dinner there. We sleep there the night on the floor. Of course, our bush for dinner. And yeah, really, really cool little town, very rural. And this is us here, unpacked all our stuff. So from here, we spend the night. Next morning, wake up, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And we got about a 4-hour, 4x4 ride into the Kyrgyzstan Valley. So this is one of our 4x4s. We had a couple stops on the way. Yeah, no, it's just a super, really old, stuffed car. And one of the gas like valves that come off, and they pull over, and the guy just rubs it in the dirt, and then just screws it back on, and we continued. So it's about a 3.5-hour, 4-hour, 4x4 ride, and it's like amazing. Wow, it's proper in the mountains. I don't know who built this road. It's pretty crazy, but it's 4x4ing like this for about 3.5 hours, and then the road just kind of ends. Basically comes to this, maybe it's like a circle, like a cul-de-sac, we would call it, and they just unpack our bags. The drivers don't speak English. They don't speak English, and we basically unpack all our stuff. We had about 600 kilograms of gear between 7 of us, and we load that into 30-kilogram bags to go onto the horses. So they actually just dropped us off here and left, and then it was just us chilling out here in the middle of nowhere for about an hour before the porters rocked up. So they came out of the valley. Where are we going? So we literally just sat there in the baking sun. This is hot, guys. This is like 30 degrees at the moment. So we were cooking as in like hot cooking. We weren't cooking food. And yeah, we just kind of hung out. And then eventually these porters arrive, and they greet us with a nod and a hand gesture. And then they sat down and had lunch for another 30 minutes. And then slowly but surely, they started weighing all our bags, and then re-weighing all our bags, and then re-weighing and shuffling, and eventually they put them on horses. So they've got one of those like airport hand scales, but it's just got like a piece of wire on it, and this oak's like picking it up with his 2 fingers, and this like 30-kilogram bag, he's like, ugh. I was like, oh my goodness, guys, you're gonna hurt yourselves. I even say, I'm like, just put a stick through there and then pick the stick up. But yeah, that's great. This is the hike in. So it's kind of like desolate, kind of arid. Yeah, so what did I say? 7 hours, about 16 Ks of hiking, just under 2,000 meters elevation. So it took us a bit of time to hike up there. No question, okay. Yeah, but it's quite crazy. It really, you basically follow the river the whole way up. And eventually, like in hour 5, you actually see rock that is of somewhat good quality. Because all the mountains prior to this, even the mountain just here on the right, is pretty chossy. It's pretty much falling down. So anyway, that big peak in front of us is the Russian Tower. And yeah, we were sleeping at the base of that. All right. We there, guys. We're in the valley. Yes. How's it like living in the valley? Wes? Well, let me tell you, guys. The photo on the right is the view from my tent, my first kind of location. So I got to wake up every morning and just look at that, which is, you know, living in the mountains for 24 days. It's like hard and taxing, but at the same time, it's like really beautiful and blissful, and you've really got nothing much else to do except like kind of eat food and go have a good time. Photo on the left is our kitchen. So these photos are actually taken in different spots, but to cut a long story short, we moved camps after being there for a few days. And yeah, there's the kitchen. I did a lot of the cooking. I'm in a team with 6 guys, and it was pretty clear that a lot of us didn't know how to cook very well. I, on the other hand, pride myself on some cooking, so I was pretty psyched to cook every night for everyone. Yeah, we cooked a lot of pasta. A lot of pasta, tuna pasta, mince, mince, that dried mince, not freeze-dried, but dehydrated is the word, dehydrated mince. Lots of cheese, I'll show you our fridge in a bit. Lots of salami, lots of cans of tuna. We were short on things like biscuits. So, yeah, no, we actually didn't take any tin chicken, but we got some smoked chicken, which worked really well. Yeah, kind of your standard camp cooking stuff. It was cool, lots of oats. I haven't eaten oats since. Like, I got really, really over oats for breakfast. Guys were like, yo, we can just have oats every day. I was like, there's no ways we can have oats every day. And then we each hiked in 30 eggs each, which adds up, you know, it adds up to 200 eggs. Hey, on the hike up, we only lost 2 eggs. Yeah. Yeah, we had, somehow that worked out. All right, guys, here we are. This is our little campsite. Here we got Andy's tent in the front. That big tent at the back is our dining room tent, our cooking tent, our gear tent. Obviously, there's no power out there, so there's the solar panels out and about. In the back is our washing line. And that's just generally where we sat and ate and hung out. We kind of nicknamed our campsite the Squatter Camp. Just coming from South Africa, we thought that was quite appropriate. No, it was clean and organized, but when you looked at like the French campsite where they built all these like little like stone sculptures and stuff, and it was it was really nice. And then we've got like a pile of where we crush all our cans in the open. So it's like neat, but you know, from an outside perspective, you could be like, man. All right, yeah. So it's hard to say, but I think at its busiest point, there must have been about 40 people in the valley. I explained how hard it is to get there. And I thought it was quite crazy how many people were actually in the valley. So much so on a lot of the popular routes, it was pretty advised to go walk around the campsite and chat to people and see what they're doing, else you might just get stuck behind another party. As big as this valley is, there isn't that much established stuff. I mean, there's a lot of established stuff, but there's definitely the 5-star routes that everyone wants to climb, and those are limited, especially when there's 40 people trying to climb them. Juggling clubs, those are Andy's juggling clubs. I consider myself a bit of a juggler too. And this, just for interesting sake, that's a poo bag, out in the open. Oh, yeah, so guys, we did eat good. This was kind of a stew. Say it again. We did not bake bread every day. We didn't have enough flour for that, apparently. But on some of the big days, especially when everyone was together, there was a bit of an effort to make bread. Felix, however, was very secretive on his bread recipe, although we all asked many, many times how he makes such delicious bread. He just didn't want to share. Fine by me, we got nice flat bread every other night. So this is my little campsite, guys. There's my little tent. Just airing out my sleeping bag after, whatever happens in a tent at night. Don't. So this is our water source. It's just cool that there's such a clear split, and this is how it looked the whole time. This is also our bathing spot. So the water on the right comes from the glacier. A little bit dirty. The one on the left comes more from the mountain. All our water had to be filtered. So we had many water bottles, and pretty much we filtered water full time, all day, every day. Especially when you're going on missions, everyone had to just fill up water bottles. And actually, when all 7 people want to go climb something big, if you want to go climb a 3-day mission here, and you want to go climb a 3-day mission here, you need a lot of water and a lot of water bottles. And there were a couple times it was just like, fuck, we don't have enough water bottles. But you just make a plan. And then, living in the valley, guys, everyone refers to everyone by their country. So you got the French team, the Italian team, the Swiss team. It's hard to remember so many people's names. But this was actually taken on one of our last nights in the valley. And this is kind of the people that were just left. Like the valley, as soon as it starts getting really cold, there's definitely a timeline and people start leaving. This is what was left. Bunch of French. We've got a Swiss there. We've got an English person there. South Africans, Italians. So this was cool. We all had dinner together and played some games on the last night and drank vodka. And then more camp play, dude. The poo bag's still there. It hasn't really moved. Obviously, when you're doing these missions, you can't climb all the time. You climb 4 days in a row. Climbing 5 days in a row is really, really hard. So you end up taking, a couple days off. And this was us just messing around, juggling on shoulders. Just having a good time. Richard was definitely the more clean, maybe not cleanliest person, but he was always washing and looking after our fridge, and he loved it. So this was our fridge here. We just built some rocks and chucked all our food there in some like Hessian bags, and we had these like thermal pack, kind of like cooler box sack bags. And we had cheese all the way up to the last day. That was absolutely fine. Maybe a bit of sand gets in it. We just rinse it off in the river. All right, guys, now we're into the money. Now we're talking about climbing. So this photo is taken on the side of Odessa. There you have the Perestroika Crack and the big Russian. On the left, you have the little Russian tower, which is quite a bit smaller compared to the big Russian tower. The bottom there we can see our campsite. That's where we lived, in the trees and the boulders there. Then the pyramid, which basically attaches to the Russian wall. And then Ulechberg, or however you pronounce that. So these are kind of the areas we climbed in. And these are more precisely the routes we did. So the Perestroika, the Petite Tour Russia. Take it easy. That was cool. La Bola, we actually didn't climb La Bola, we climbed a route called, we don't know what it was climbed. We climbed a route left of La Bola, so we just called it left of La Bola. And then the missing mountain, that was fun. That was our first route we did there. And we had a topo that said lazy lizard, and our teammates had a topo that said Missing Mountain, and we started kind of in two different spots, and then our routes kind of intersected, and then a Spanish team intersected us, and our route was in French, and they only spoke Spanish, and when you're on a really big wall, a couple dots and a thing saying 6A with a bit of a squiggle doesn't really tell you where to go. Anyway, we got about halfway up, and then we met the Spanish team, and I was like, well, I'm going to go up that massive crack. It just looks so beautiful, which was this. Obviously, we're just going to keep climbing up that. That looks like the best way up. And they're like, oh, but you climbing Lazy Lizard, we climbing Missing Mountain. Missing Mountain goes up this way. And then we looked at our topo, and our topo was exactly the same as their topo, just with two different names. So there isn't, the route guiding development could be much better. We learned, like there were lots of comparing topos and a lot of different things that were kind of actually just the same thing. Our entire route guide, we just translated from Russian on ChatGPT. So there were funny things like climb into the fireplace. And everyone's like, what is the fireplace? And eventually we found out a fireplace is a chimney. You know, like it makes real good sense. So this was the same climb. This was us getting acclimatized to the area. You at about 3,000 meters, just over 3,000 meters at base camp, and we climbed this route. Went at 6B plus, so 21. Super fun, super long. 17 pitches, 500 meters in a day. We thought that was the most climbing I'd ever done in a day. So I was flying. I had such a great day, and that's kind of the opening. Any questions? Okay, so this, yeah. Yeah, so it's all granite, so kind of when they explained, you can see the crack systems and the big corners that they're talking about. So it's not so hard, it's only hard when it's not in English. There were bolts, not a lot of bolts. I think on Missing Mountain, the pyramid, there were a couple bolts, especially at some of the harder stances, lots of hanging stances, but for the most part, there was generally one bolt, like maybe it was an 8mm bolt, and a nut or a peg or something, and that's all just kind of coming together to a point. So there's lots of tat all over the place, and we did put some bolts in, but I'll show you, a bit later. No. Have you ever tried putting a guide together? It's a lot of work. Okay, so we've been looking at mostly Perestroika, the Russian tower. This is now looking the other way. This is the view we get from the other side. Odessa, like I said, in my mind, wow, it's just such a crazy good-looking mountain. And in that bowl, this point is so cool. In this bowl over here, clouds would just hover and it would snow in there. It was just so stunning. Then this middle one, Karakicha, also known as 1,000 Years of Russian Christianity. So the other team, Andy, Richard, and Cam, climbed a route that basically went up this ridgeline called the French route. From my side, guys, it's probably one of the more inspiring ascents of the trip. It was 1,400 meters of climbing. I think the hardest pitch went up to about 6B. They were really psyched on it, but they said it was a lot of quite easy climbing, but it was more about climbing 1,400 meters. This foot, we were climbing on Perestroika here, and hang on, sorry, this clicker. They were somewhere here, and they get on the radio, yeah, we're doing really well, we're going to be close to the ledge or whatever, and this was now dark already, and we saw them with the headlamps, and I was on the radio. I'm like, guys, you are so far away from that ledge. You've got a long way to go to get to that ledge. So I'm actually not sure if they made it to the ledge, but this is them starting up the route. Just really, really stunning. And this is where they slept that night. which, yeah, I mean, that's so cool. Anyway, they summited the next day, and they slept on top, and then this is the photo they got from the top. Yeah, very, very stunning. So on the left is the valley we're staying in, the Aksu Valley on the right, the Karasu Valley. We can call it the Tommy Caldwell Valley, where they got kidnapped. And then just, yeah, the guys, they got kidnapped into those mountains. That's where they went. And like I said, in the back there, that's 6,500 meter peaks. So they really are big mountains. But let's get back. There's a lot I can tell you guys about. There's a lot of climbing that happened. But I'd like to tell kind of our story of Perestroika because I know it pretty well. And here it is. So that's the route guide. There's a photo of it on the left. So you go about, so firstly it says an hour hike from base camp, which is impossible. I think the first time it took us 2.5 hours to get to the base, through a scree field, pretty much just walking uphill. The first time we climbed this, we went in like kind of a big wall style. We were going to go 2 nights, 3 days, 3 nights, 4 days, one of those two. Oh man, technology. And if I click it again, Benny, no. Anyway, the circle. So you hike up the scree field from here, all the way up and around. Like I said, it takes about 2 hours. Then you got 4 pitches where you come onto the slab, and then you climb up this guy here. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see. All pretty easy. Like I said, the first way we attempted this mountain was kind of a big wall style. Annie and Cam had climbed it the week before, and the idea was you sleep on the coal, you climb those 5 pitches, sleep on the coal, climbs the halfway ledge, which is here, which is about 11 pitches up, 9 pitches up from the coal, which is unbelievable. It's the longest continuous crack system in the world. At about 200 meters of just crack climbing was really, really something crazy. Anyway, we got up to the halfway ledge. You can see our big haul bag behind Felix there. All that stuff super heavy, lots of water. Anyway, we get there. We have a lack of nights. Everything's good. There's Andy and Cam and everyone else on the other mountain in the middle there, super far away from the ledge that they need to be on. And yeah, we had a good night's sleep. Next thing went well. From there, you got about 11 pitches to the top. And at about, I think it was pitch 8, we were met with quite a bit of snow and rain. Yeah, snow and rain. Yeah, we were joined by another British team, which consisted of a guy called Jim Pope, which is a very young crusher, pretty much almost qualified for the Olympics. So a really strong youngster. And they actually were kind of chilling, like, oh, it's going to rain, like, what's happening? They overtake us, and we climb another pitch, and then it rains, and here they come down. And I even say to them, like, you guys are from the UK. You know, don't you always climb in the rain? And these guys are like all Black Diamond sponsored athletes, and they're just like, we are getting out of here, dude. This is dangerous. It's cold. It's not worth it. So they're going down. We sat there for like another 10 minutes contemplating. Because it was taking us like 2.5 days to get to where we are. Like, you don't just want to go back down. And then the sheer thought of you having to do all of that again is like, yeah. So anyway, we actually decided to bail. Very, very sadly, we got on down that mountain. So we get down the mountain, and now we obviously beat up rats, you know, like we haven't done what we want to do, and that's okay. So I say let's go to the Karasu Valley. And it's about a 4-hour hike from where we are, and we kind of went fast and light. 4 of us went, packed small bags, some little food, and this is basically what we walked into. So I mean, it rained most of the day we were walking, but this is the valley. I mean, it's definitely the prettier valley. And I actually wish I put more photos of this valley because it was really, really nice. We didn't have a great time there. We actually got beat up and it rained on, and we all had a rough time. You know that you get to a stage in your trip where your psyche is just down and you're tired and you actually don't feel like climbing. And that was a lot of this valley. That face on the right there kind of has a bit of an L-cap look to it. A little bit smaller than L-cap. I think it's about 800 meters. It's called the Yellow Wall, and that's the wall that Tommy and them got shot at on. We tried to climb that wall, and we also got rained out on and got over climbing, so we didn't have a great time here. But a really beautiful time. You know, it was a bit of a mixed bag of emotions. So anyway, then we go back. So now we're back in the Aksu Valley. Our kind of first attempt at Perestroika was myself, Felix, and Greg. And a team of 3 comes with the pros and cons. We found it was quite slow. And myself and Greg, we chatted with Felix, but myself and Greg basically came down. We're like, we think we can do this in a day. Let's just go fast and light. We don't have to haul. We can take a little bag with water and some clothes, and yeah, let's just see what happens. So that was the plan. We took 4 days off before doing this, just by the way. We were pretty over this trip. I didn't even want to climb at the time, but the idea of summiting something you hadn't summited is obviously always alluring, like this unfinished business. Like I said, I just want to show you guys really nice photos. This photo is from a Rock and Ice magazine, and he sent it to me from Cape Town. He found it in some place in Muizenberg, and I think this is not Sonny Trotter, Matt Siegel. And this is pitch 4 from the call, and that pitch there on there, you go through this off with 6A plus. Really cool. I mean, you just get in that crack, and you can just see this crack, guys. It just doesn't stop. It really, really just doesn't stop. Okay, some videos. So this is from myself and Greg. We hiked up to the col, spent the night there, and we were going to go from the col to the summit as quick as possible. And yeah, this is us going up there. That's it. Yeah. There's the first main pitch into the crack. You can see off with. It continues into the 6 breeze, into the chimney off with this ledge. Then you go up in the back there. Wow. It just doesn't stop. Yeah, we had pretty much a full rack of triples. Pretty much a full rack on some of the bigger stuff, not. So we only had, I think, double 4s, single 5, single 6. But definitely triples of 3s, 2s, 1s, down to the little guys. A lot less nuts, maybe like a really small selection of nuts, and more nuts just to bail and leave behind. So like some old ones. So this photo, we're on the death block here, guys. That one that I told we had the sketchy rappel off of there. You can see the tat by my feet. That whole block moves. But just the week before, Felix went up with Richard and Aiden, and they tried to get to the top of Perestroika. And they went up with a drill, and they put 2 very nice bolts there for us. Someone else tied this cordelette, which I don't know what it is, but it was so pretty. Yeah, super pretty cord. And we can now stand on top of the death block. I did try to see if we could push it off. It was still on, still attached. Yeah, one thing with the gear, especially on these bottom pitches where you've got this continuous crack. So a lot of these bottom pitches, I think, all the way up to the halfway ledge, the hardest pitch was 6B plus. And that was the off-width and one bit of face climbing, roof climbing, which was like classic Michalisburg, just before the halfway ledge. Amazing. All this bottom stuff was kind of like 5 plus, 6A plus. So not particularly hard, but when you got a 50-meter pitch of the exact same size crack, you end up running out like 20-meter sections between gear. But like I said, it is and just I just need to get there, and you just cruise on up, put another piece in, cruise on up for another 20 meters, bump it up a bit. Yeah, very exciting. Nice, Greg. Sorry, I'm belaying and filming at the same time, you know, classic. Yeah, so in there you saw there were two ladies above us from the Italian team. They were really cool. They did Juma up our rope after I fixed the first pitch and went ahead of us and slowed us down a little, so we were a little bit irritated with them. But they were two cool ladies, and they also put up a really cool first ascent. And that's kind of what they went there to do. These two ladies came to Kyrgyzstan to put up a first ascent, and they put up a really, really cool line. Okay, this is just this is the off width. There you got a big number 7. I was very psyched Greg did this the second time round, because I did it the first time, and oh man, it was just so gnarly. But really cool. And yeah, good on Greg for doing that. This is a cute video from Andy. So we were the only ones climbing at this stage. People were a bit over Kyrgyzstan. And this was taken from our base camp.
So our boys are up there going for gold. They went off the Kuwa this morning, and they are cruising. Currently in the second of the 2 crux pitches, and I'm confident that once they're at the top of that, the resolve is going to be so strengthened that they will for sure summit. Kind of shaky, but that's where they are. That's them right there.
Oh no! Sorry, I tried to pause it for everyone. Did you guys see us over there? Those little dots? Yeah, it's a big mountain. Yeah, very cool. We enjoyed this. It's cool to think when your friends are down at camp, they're thinking of you. So anyway, guys, we cruised. We made pretty good time. Like I said, we got a bit slowed. We were hoping to. It's funny when I say it like this. Now, we were hoping to summit in daylight. You know, we were trying to get up there in 12 hours. It took a little longer. Firstly, we woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and by this stage in the valley, it was a lot colder than it was 3 weeks prior, which was quite interesting. Really hard to climb, so we actually ended up only starting to climb about 7:30 when it got a little bit warmer. To let you guys know what we're climbing in, I've never ever climbed in this many clothes, and okay. So I had a pair of socks on, climbing shoes. I had a pair of leggings on, pair of piranha pants. I had a base layer, a sun hood, a fleece, and then my hard shell rain jackets. That's what I climbed in the entire time. I didn't change that at all, and a buff and a helmet, obviously. Climbed the whole thing, got to the top, and then I only put my puffy on then, and we rappelled completely in our puffies, and then we got really, really cold. Really cold. But that's, just to give you some perspective of what we were climbing in. So this is cool. As you can see, we still got quite a bit of sun set at around 8. Sunrise 6-ish. Yeah? Yeah. That little light there, that's us. That's us. We're just putting our headlamps on. Stars are coming out. This is cool. That's all the hard climbing's done from there. So from the halfway ledge, you got 6B plus pitch, 5A, 6B plus, and then you got a 7A, 7A plus. Those are like really the meat of the climb and the crux. Both myself and Greg, we led on the first time, and the second time we both tried really hard, obviously, to free them. But after climbing 14 pitches before that in a row. It was pretty hard, and I mean, we couldn't do it. We both fell. Take. I'm really fucking scared, Greg. Please just take the rope tight. 8 through the hard sections, and that's kind of how it goes. From there, you still have like 2 6B plus pitches, a 5, a 6A, a 6C, and then 2 5s to the top. So the hard climbing's done, but it's by no means over. And then Andy's video is saying, these guys are going to be motivated to keep going. I don't know how motivated I was to keep going. One thing I've learned is you need to be pretty determined to get to the top of any of these things. Like, you have to really, really try hard. So somewhere around there, the guys in the camp actually got on the radio, and they just shouted encouraging words and swear words at us. You guys can do it. We believe in you. Don't stop now. And all you want to kind of do is go down, but they're like, you can't stop now. You guys are so close to the top. Just keep going. So onwards and forwards we went. Okay, so we wanted to do it in daylight. Obviously, you can see by that photo we weren't there in daylight, and we summited around 12 o'clock that night, pretty much non-stop. And not all summits are like glorious in celebrations and the views. So this is quite a raw video of us summiting, and I mean, I think we're more psyched afterwards than we were actually on the mountain. See anything?
Can't see anything.
Can't see anything.
Top of Perestroika.
Woo! That was a long
call
day.
to the top in one day. A fucking long day.
Is your light on? I'll check. There's Greg. Woo!
Top of Perestroika. Good job, Wes.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I'll blast you.
That was.
Good job, Captain.
Ooh. Oh, my fingers are so. Ah! That was proper hard.
Yeah. And it's very cold.
Yeah. But the rock's so cold. Now that I've stopped holding the fucking rock, I've got some feeling again.
Yeah. Well, there were huge pockets of snow and ice. So
Yeah, do you check that snow, hey?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
well,
Oh
place
yeah. All right, yeah, I mean, so that's what it's like on the summit. Real cool. So we summited around, like I say, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. I think it was around like 9 o'clock that night, Greg gave me one of those like caffeine gels, those Sif. But I needed it really badly. And I just couldn't, the time flew by. All of a sudden we were at the top. And then when you get down, so we got 23 pitches to rappel. Perestroika is very, very well known for getting your rope stuck. From the summit, we're like, let's get out of here. Off we go, get down there, pull the rope gets stuck on the first rappel. And when you kind of over it, it's like really hard to, get the courage to climb back up. So anyway, I climb up. It's not far, it's maybe like 10 meters. I go up, do the thing, okay, we loosen it, come back down, start pulling, get stuck again on the same rappel. Off goes Greg, it's his turn, so he goes, and eventually we get it down. We get down to the halfway ledge. As you can see, it's now daytime. We got down to the halfway ledge in the early hours of the morning, maybe like 4:30, 5. And as we got to halfway ledge, our rope got stuck again. And I looked at Greg and I'm like, I'm not getting that fucking rope, dude. There's absolutely no ways. Like, sure, I can't even explain to you how hard this would be. And he's like, well, I'm not getting it. So we both agreed to go pretty much cuddle on the ledge for the sun's coming up. All right, maybe it'll be warmer when the sun comes up. So we definitely lost consciousness on the ledge with our rope stuck, and this is the raw video of us regaining consciousness before we got the courage to go get that rope unstuck. We were really cold. It was, I couldn't feel my feet. It was, I think this photo in itself gives a fair bit away of the situation. Talk away, Greg. I'm fucking cold.
So last year, our rappel didn't quite go as planned.
I mean, it went as planned. It's just. No, we're not that cold. Just our feet are cold. And neither of us want to go get the rope. It's not morning.
We've been going since 7 o'clock yesterday.
So we're just shivering here for a bit. No, it's a lot. And the wind's been going. That's crazy. Chicken and a kid waiting for us. And a sleeping bag. And a coffee. Maybe the wind is loosened or
Loosened our rope.
my feet are actually obviously feeling a little bit better. These are also my pants. We're gonna have a smoke, and then we're gonna think about doing something. Oh, that's cockfunny. Yeah, so our feet got really cold. Like walking on stubs, you can't feel your toes, can't feel your feet. And that's also part of the reason I wanted to stop here. I was like, I need to sort my feet out kind of thing. And we had no more food left, so we ended up putting our feet in our food bags, which worked really well. Like it, just because there's no breathability, and then you just keep moving your toes, and eventually they're going to get warmer. You know, firstly they get really sore, and then you feel them again. Are we winning, Benny? We're almost done, guys. Yeah, so our feet got really cold. It was a cold night. Me and Greg got quite intimate, and all I can say was super cold. So from here, quick story. We did Ching Chong Cha for the who has to go climb and get the rope, obviously, because neither of us want to get it. So I win. Sweet. Sorry, Greg. And then Greg only climbs up maybe like 10 or 15 meters and literally unhooks the rope, and the whole thing kind of comes free. And I was like, oh, that was easy. We could have done that 2 hours ago, but at the time it seemed like such an impossible task. So anyway, we wrapped 2 more wraps, and we're hanging out there, pull the entire rope, and the tip of the rope, I wish I took a photo, it was literally the tip, created a knot, and that got caught in the malleon at the death block. The death block again, dude, I can't believe it. And there's Greg yanking on this rope, and I'm like, there's only one reason an entire rope goes through a thing and nothing else, is because there's a knot in the end, and no matter how hard you pull, that knot's not coming out. So I'm almost crying. I put my head on the rock, and Greg's frantically pulling at this thing. And I know deep down that I have to go climb and go sort this whole thing out. And now we kind of like hang out there in silence a bit, and Greg looks at me, he's like, I'll Ching Chong Cha you for it. And as much as I want to leave that up to chance, I was like, it's my turn, Greg. I know. So that hands down is the hardest single pitch of climbing I've ever had to do in my life. A good old 50-meter, 6P plus pitch. That was really, really hard in the early hours in the morning, yeah. Bit of geeking out, just to wrap things up. This was our gear list. everyone had to bring things, cams, lots of cams. You've got, we had three triple racks. Pretty much 3 full triple racks, which, basically is 9 of your size 3 cams and 9 of your size 2s. Really cool, and really cool that we can hustle that between all of us and Big Boris Steel. One thing I can say for these kind of trips is just buy your ropes new, or Ram sponsored us a bunch of ropes, so we were very, very lucky and grateful, and gave us some ropes at cost price. I think we had 7 ropes, and they are all pretty trashed. They we had some really nice Beal Operas, the thinnest single rope in the world. What a beautiful rope. No one really wanted to take it home after this trip. They were kind of beat up. So if you especially do a big trip with your friends, cams and stuff, they last much longer, and anything that we lost, we kind of all chipped in to replace. But ropes, if I bought my